Hello and welcome back to our channel. In this video, you will learn advanced pivot table. I am going to show you some advanced pivot table tips and tricks. So let's jump into the video. If you already know these tricks, tell me in the comment box. Okay, let's get started. Tip number 1 is adjust field list settings. Let's quickly insert a pivot table to show you what that is. So I have here some sales data for different products, customer and companies. I'm going to go to insert tables, pivot table. This data here is already formatted as an Excel table. I am going to insert a pivot table in a new worksheet and click on OK. This is the default view when you create pivot tables, but you can change it. If you go to tools, you can select field section and area section side by side. I prefer this view because it makes organizing things easier. You can also adjust how you see the fields, sorting them A to Z or in the data source order. This is really helpful, especially if you have a lot of fields. Okay, so tip number 2, create multiple reports with one click. So here I want to create sales report for each single customer. I can do that with one click. Let's set up the first report. I want product in the rows and sales in the values column. I am going to add the customer to my filter. Before I do that one click, let's update the formatting of this. I want to add 1000 separators to this, and I also want to sort this in descending order. So right mouse click, sort largest to smallest. Now comes the part with one click because I want to create different reports for each single customer. Currently I have 4 of these. Instead of doing this manually, I am going to go to pivot table setting here, go to options and show report, filter pages. This brings up anything that's in the filter. Its customer name, click on OK and I get multiple reports for each customer. Here you can see I have got the reports for James, Olivia and so on. Moving on and let's see how to add data bars to pivot tables. Here I have the different product and the sum of sales. Let's say I want to show these as data bars. Just go to home, conditional formatting, data bars, more rules, and here's the important part. Instead of selected cells, choose all cells showing in the header of your pivot table column. This makes it dynamic, adjusting based on the size of your pivot table. Set the format style to data bar if you only want to show the bars and not the numbers. Check the box, adjust the color, and click OK. Now we have the data bars here. We can replace this. I am just going to add a space. Here's something to be careful about. When you right click and refresh, everything will collapse because the default setting of pivot table is to make the column width dynamic. But we can change that. Go to pivot table analyze, then pivot table options and uncheck auto fit column width on update. Now expand the columns to the size you want and when you right click and refresh, it won't collapse. If you also want to see the sales value in a separate column, just add them again to your pivot table. Adjust the title, update the formatting and you are done. Number 5. Create calculated fields. To add a calculated field to your pivot table, go to pivot table analyze. Under calculations, you are going to see the calculated field. Here you can give your field a name. I am going to call my adjusted revenue. Now that formula can involve any of your field names. In this case, I am going to create a simple calculation that's going to take my revenue. So all I have to do is double click it to see it in the formula bar. And I'm going to multiply this by 1 plus 10%. So I'm going to increase it by 10%. Once you are finished, click on add and you will see the new field right here. Click on OK. That's your adjusted revenue field. Now that you have a new calculated field, you can use it in your other reports. To remove a calculated field, go back to calculated field options, then go to the drop down here. You will see your calculated field selected, click on delete and then click OK. Okay, so now let's see how to calculate the difference between columns. In this case, my source data has information for June, July, and August only, and I want to calculate the sales difference between these 3 months. First of all, I'm going to add date to my columns. This is automatically going to give me a grouping for months, and I'm going to be able to drill down into the exact dates. Alright, I don't want to drill down further, so I'll remove the date and keep it with just months. Now let's calculate the difference between the three. I will add the revenue a second time to the values field. Then I'll right click on the second instance and select show value as difference from. I will choose difference from instead of percentage difference from. It's important to choose the right base field. It currently says product, which isn't what I want. I want to calculate the difference between my June, July, and August columns. I will change the selection to months and the base item to previous. Now, this doesn't mean the previous month, but rather the previous column. In this example, it happens to be the previous month as well. So that's fine. I'll click on OK and I'll get my difference. All I need to do is update my titles here and call this difference. Okay, so the last tip here is how to add a timeline to your pivot table. To add a timeline, go to Pivot Table Analyze and insert timeline. Now let's insert this timeline. It will provide a list of fields that are date fields. I only have one, which is the date. Click on OK and immediately you will get a timeline that you can use. When you select a month, you will notice that the data changes and is restricted for that month. You can also select multiple months. You have the option to switch your view from month to quarters, years, or even just days. This allows you to examine a specific day or select multiple days. When you want to remove your timeline, simply delete it. Alright, that was it for today's video. I hope you found these tricks to be helpful. Subscribe to our channel for more Excel tips and tricks. See you in my next video.